Hey everyone, welcome to the Growin Up Podcast. My name is Nevaeh,
And I'm Amber.
and we're excited to share the launch of our new podcast.
Yeah, I can't believe we're actually finally doing this. You remember back in the day when we used to make videos when we were younger?
Yeah, I do.
So I actually pulled it up before we started so that I could share it because I think it's kind of funny because I seen that the date was dated all the way back to May 10th of 2011. So obviously this is over 10 years ago. So
Yeah,
I just want to play it really quick, kind of to just do a quick intro and um, just also to laugh at ourselves. So
very
here
fitting, very fitting.
Hey, I'm AJ, and we're here in my room with my little sister, Nevaeh. We're great. So, I'm here to tell you guys that today is May 10th. Not Cinco de Mayo. May 10th.
Oh my god. You know, the worst part about that is my hair.
What what do you Amber, your side part is just like over a couple inches.
True, but I mean, it wasn't that bad. Now I'm, a little bit more natural. Back then, it was a little forced.
Can we talk about the fact that I had a Facebook on there and I probably had no business being on Facebook? That yeah. Hey, you know what? Making statements. Love a social
Yeah.
media queen.
So, I mean, the reason why I wanted to bring that video up too is because, like, we've always been like wanting to make, I guess, like a show or like a podcast in like since we were younger, and I'm just curious, like, what your thoughts are on that video.
I don't it's it's so crazy, like, it just feels like that was, like, yesterday, so, like, I don't know, it's just reminiscent that way, but also I agree, like, I feel like we've always just wanted to create, like, I know you've had, like, your own personal, like, kinda things going on. I was on my, like, TikTok wave for a minute, so, like, just this idea of always being able to, I guess, like, be influential or an educator, mentor, story some having some sort of position where we're able to, like, guide, essentially. So,
Yeah.
it was a good reminiscent moment.
For sure. I think it was also kind of like our way of like creating, like we're not, I mean, I'll speak for myself because you're a pretty good artist, but like we're not the best, like, artists and things like that, but um media has always been kind of our way that we've been able to express ourselves. So I
Yeah.
think that having a podcast is kind of fitting for us. And we kind of discussed this like on the back end for like why we're creating this podcast, but uh, we were looking for something that we could actually talk about. Just coming from the conversations that we had, we kind of found the common ground of like we like to have conversations and we like to, talk about ourselves. That sounds a little self-centered, but like, we like to share our experiences. And like the best part about that is you usually conversate with someone else. So you also get to hear their perspectives and other people's stories. And that's kind of where I'm glad that we have that common ground to be able to make a podcast that's kind of based on that.
Yeah, like you said, like, we totally found that joy in communicating and having conversation, getting to know each other but also, like, bringing other people into the conversation. I feel like we always get the comments that, like, good chat," after, like, sitting down at the table with a couple friends and playing
Yeah.
games. It always leads somewhere and leads into something, so, this is very exciting to see what this will lead into, but yeah.
Yeah, and just a little disclaimer, you may see my puppy walking around in the background, so hopefully that's not too distracting. Um, but yeah, so maybe we should just give a little introduction about ourselves for those who don't know. And then we can talk a little bit more about kind of like what the vibes are going to be for this podcast. We're calling this episode 0 because it's kind of our introduction about who we are, what the goal is, and just kind of to break the ice, really.
Yep, an icebreaker, definitely. I'm sure
Yeah.
everybody remembers those. Yeah, I can go first and give a little bit of background on who I am, what I do, and I guess really my interests. My name's Nevaeh. I am, if y'all didn't pick this up, We're sisters. So I'm the younger sister. I'm currently located in North Carolina right now. I'm at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill pursuing my master's degree in exercise and sports science with a concentration in exercise physiology. Mainly grew up in northern Arizona for most of my life. After I graduated high school, I actually went to Minnesota to complete my bachelor's degree at the University of Minnesota Rochester. So I've been away from Arizona for quite a large amount of time. I'm really trying to get to know what there is to experience out there. So I love being able to, say that I've lived in already 2, 3 states now. So that's awesome. A little bit more about, I guess, my desires and goals for myself is I want to go to med school one day. So I did pre-med in undergrad. I'm really building on my physiology work right now, my research skills. But in the next couple of years, I will hopefully be applying and attending medical school, fingers crossed. A couple of things that I'm really interested in hoping to contribute to this podcast is really just my expertise in the pre-med journey. It was a very complicated journey, and I'm sure y'all will probably get to hear a little bit more about it throughout our podcast. But also like being very resourceful. I'm a big advocate for change and experiencing change. So that's something I've lived by as I've gone through my education journey. I'm also the mom of two puppies. So on my off time when I'm not at school, they're probably somewhere around me at all times. But yeah, just a little bit about me. I'll pass it on to Amber.
Yeah. When you said I'm the mom of 2, I was like, oh my God. Wasn't expecting puppies. So yeah, my name is Amber, and I currently live in Denver, Colorado. For my occupation, I am a cloud platform engineer at an energy utility company out here. So basically what it means is I write code to deploy infrastructure in the cloud. If you guys want to know a little bit more about that later, I'm glad to go into that, but I'll try to keep that simple. I'm also pursuing my master's degree at Denver University, and I am studying information and communication technology, and my concentration is in software design and programming. I'm the big sister. I also grew up in northern Arizona. After high school, I went down to Tucson, Arizona, where I attempted to go to college the first time. Thought I was going to be a nurse, thought I was going to get into the medical field as well, but didn't quite work out that way. I ended up dropping out, and I took a 6-year break where I had a lot of self-discovery. I became a really passionate about self-development in that time. Read a lot of books, got really into leadership styles, and just kind of worked on developing myself. And then there just came a time where I was like, okay, I want to try going back to college more for myself. It's just something I felt like I left behind. So I ended up starting back at a community college, got my associates in communication, and then I went on to do my undergrad at Grand Canyon University, where I got my degree in business management. And somewhere in there, I ended up realizing that I was very interested in technology. Should have known. It's always kind of been one of my side passions. So that's kind of what made me pursue my master's degree in technology. And I decided I wanted to go right into it just because I had already taken that 6-year break and just wanted to push through it. And it landed me here, and super fortunate to be where I am. Yeah, so perspective I have, I love getting to know other people, and I like to, I said that I'm really passionate about self-development, and that's something that I'm willing to talk about, and I love talking about. Something that I try to set my goals and work toward that for myself. I'm also a Native American in technology, so that's kind of an angle that I'm learning to take. I'm still new to the field, but I'm happy to share my struggles, but also my journey and my successes and how I'm navigating the world in that aspect. In my free time, I like to hang out with my 2 dogs. I have 2 dogs as well.
Mom of two, mom of two.
2 dogs, and I like playing video games. That's a new brought up hobby from the past that I've been getting into. And I like to travel around Denver. I like hanging out at new spots, finding the new places to eat, going to have a craft beer somewhere. That's the kind of the Denver vibe that you get after moving here for a while. But yeah, that's pretty much me. Thanks for letting me share a little bit about myself. I guess the next aspect of this would be what us talking about, like kind of where angle or the direction we want to go with the podcast, or maybe why we starting the podcast.
Yeah, yeah. One thing I wanted to mention too that you kind of touched on a little bit is that me and Amber are both half Hopi and half Navajo. So our identity means a lot to us, and is a huge influence of what we do and how we present ourselves. So just want to acknowledge that, and also state that we really want to be able to use our identity, our background to, help where we can, but also we know that there may be individuals who may not be at the same background as us, but we also hope that you will be able to use us in whatever we're talking about or even contribute to our conversation, as we are very open to hearing about each and everyone's identity, what makes them them, and why they do what they do. And a huge part of that is probably the identity. So we hope to really cater to everyone, but we just wanted to acknowledge that we are Native, and we are huge advocates for the Native community as well. So, huge shout out to Northern Arizona.
Sure. So yeah, I mean, I guess that kind of goes into like why we're really creating the podcast, and we named it the Growin Up Podcast because obviously everyone's growing up. Every day you get older, but also like just in our time, we're not that old. We're in our 20s, but we've learned a lot. And she kind of touched on it, that identity aspect. That's just something that we learned about on our journey in life. And I'm sure a lot of people, come across that or have their own like things that they learn as they grow up. And I think one thing that I really want to tie into this is one of my favorite quotes by Socrates or Plato. The quote is that the only true wisdom is knowing that you know nothing. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that we're all here to learn. You grow up every day, but the thing is that you're never going to know everything. People have more things to teach you, and you always, I guess, just hope that you're continuously growing and I guess just learning new perspectives.
Yeah, I think that as I mentioned earlier, I'm a huge advocate for change and experiencing change and acknowledging change. So I feel like another thing in this podcast is we want to emphasize the fact of growing up, you're going to experience a lot of different things that you may not have thought you would. Being in these uncomfortable positions, going to meet your professor for the first time, things like that. Those really have an influence on, how you'll come out of it at the end. And that's the biggest thing that I feel like me and Amber have both experienced, not only in our journey through education, but also just, our journey of being away from, our home and experiencing new things outside of the norm, and we hope to kind of tie that into the conversation as well.
And I think another thing that I'm super excited about is like I want to have some special guests on here, and my favorite thing is to hear other people's stories. Like I love to hear about where other people are from, and I hope that we can get some good special guests on here so that we can also share their stories with you as well. And we can all talk about how we're growing up every day.
Yeah, and I feel like people don't really I seen I think it was either a TikTok or an Instagram reel or something like that, but they play old videos of Disney Channel movies, and it was this was made and released 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, that, I don't know, I just, those things kind of put you into the zone of oh wow, the time has passed. Time has really passed, and you're definitely you look back, you're not that person, whether that be a year ago, a couple months ago, or 10 years ago. It's different. It's different.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking about that video we shared of us. Like that's literally 12 years ago. That's insane. And just to know I guess just to think about where I was at that moment in my life, and I would have never guessed or even thought that I would be where I am today. So life's a journey, and it's pretty interesting, and I think it's worth sharing.
Yeah. And talking about, asking those questions to yourself, you know, where will
Yeah,
I be in the next couple of years? And
yeah,
really trying to experience like where you can go into different things further. So
yeah.
that's exciting. Good conversation.
Correct. And I was just gonna say, like, if you guys are interested in those types of conversations, like I love a deep conversation. Like that's the reason why, like, I want this podcast and like am looking forward to this is that I love having those interesting conversations that a lot of people don't often have. But so if you like those kind of conversations, you're in the right place. Yeah. So, I mean, really, this is just kind of our trial. We're one making sure that all the logistics and like the technical stuff is working. Just wanted to kind of get into the swing of things. And you want to do a shout out to all our
Oh,
social media?
yeah. For sure. So we got an Instagram going. So you can follow us on Instagram at _ Growin Up Podcast. There you can find a little bit more information once we kind of get the logistics figured out on our posting schedule, upcoming episode topics. We'll also be posting like a little bit more information or like a summarized version of just who we are and just so y'all can get to know us a little bit better. But that would be the best place to kind of keep up to date on what's happening. Also, our other individual handles will be located on that podcast. So if you would like to stay up to date with us individually, you can find our Instagrams on that Instagram. And yeah.
Yeah, and I think also too, like we want the Instagram account to be very interactive. So we'd love your guys' input, feedback. Maybe we'll put some like polls and like ask some questions on there and what you guys want to see, what conversations
Hmm.
you guys are interested in, topics. We have a lot of interest of ours that we didn't share. So like we can get into some things if you guys are interested in that. But yeah, so and then also I think we're gonna be posting these on YouTube is kind of what I'm guessing right
Yeah.
now. So,
Yeah.
we'll post the videos there, but it'll probably link you guys to our YouTube. And yeah, so we hope to hear from you guys, and super
Hmm.
happy that you guys got this far. If you're here still listening, and yeah, so follow us on Instagram, and we will have another one coming soon.
Yeah, definitely excited to see what's to come next. So stay tuned, and we hope you can join us for the conversation and for the ride. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Well, we'll talk soon.
Bye.